Good evening. I'm Dave, and this is Pius Talk. Tonight, we have a very special guest, Maria Delsing. Welcome, Maria. Welcome to Pius Talk.
Well, thank you very much. I'm
Wonderful
honored to be here.
So rather than me try to tell you why Maria is with us this evening, I'll let her tell you. So Maria, if you would, give us a little bit of background, the early years, if you will, growing up, education, and your professional life.
Well, I'm born and raised in Chicago, attended Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, and then went to Mary Crest College in Davenport, Iowa. After my freshman year, I decided to join the Sisters of Humility in Ottumwa, Iowa at that time, and became a bowed sister and was with them for 6 years. And then, as my dad said, I leapt over the wall and decided I could do more outside of than within the community. And so I started going to the parishes, and I was a teacher by profession, and I taught in Great Falls, Montana, and Marshalltown, Iowa, and Chicago Ridge, but most of my teaching was in Chicago, in the inner city, working with the inner city kids. There was a little time in there where I worked for Radio Shack, and if you remember way back when they had computer centers,
yes,
I was actually with them then. And I was a manager of a computer center, and then I became their educational specialist. Oh. But as you well know, they are no more.
That's my understanding.
Yes. And so what happened was I had made many friends in Chicago, and this happened in August, right before the schools were about to open. So I went to one of my friends and said, do you know any principals who are looking for elementary? Computer would be great, if not, K3, K4. So I got my first job with them in 5th grade. Of course, they said K4. They said 5th, which is pretty difficult. I was with Chicago for 23 years, and during that time, I was a computer lab teacher as well as a classroom teacher. I loved the classroom, and I had, my principal wanted me in the computer lab. I begged her to go into the classroom. She finally let me for 3 years, and then she said, we can't find anybody, you have to go back to the computer lab. So most of my time in Chicago was, and actually it was a blessing. I was working with inner city kids at the time who had no computers and certainly no internet. And so they were able to learn the basic skills of how to use a computer way back in the 1990s so that they were more professional. I didn't get my first master's until I had been teaching for quite a while, and I got my first one, and I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I wasn't a good student. And so I went and I had so much fun, and my grades were so good that I thought it was an aberration. So instead of accepting it, what did I do? I went back and got a second master's. And guess what? The results were the same. And then a few years later, a doctoral program became available, and it was in, would you believe, ethical leadership. And so I went.
That's a thing.
Yes, it
okay.
really is a thing, right. Ethical leadership. And I was in the first cohort of the first class and graduated at 2010. So I am still a fairly new doctor. And my research was all done in critical thinking to help students do well on their standardized tests. But I had a blast, absolutely wow. A blast. So I am still teaching for Olivet online, as well as I'm teaching kids here in Tucson.
Okay, and your 2 masters were?
Curriculum and instruction.
Curriculum and
I did not want administration. I didn't want to deal with parents and the administration. I wanted to stay with the kids.
Okay. Well, that's pretty impressive. All right, well, let's shift gears just a little bit. You may have to go back just as far. If that's true, that's what it takes. But why don't you tell us about your ministerial journey, if you will?
My ministerial journey is really, and of course it started more powerfully when I was a sister. And I had a lot of the training, ended up with a minor in religion and had the CCD's instruction. So when I left over the wall, I actually, in my parish, St. Anthony's in Frankfort, Illinois, started there doing CCD work. And so I did that, and then I was a Eucharistic minister, and I was a lector, and I was part of the women's group and stuff. And that was 25 years that I was there, and so I grew with the parish. My mother was a very powerful person. She was, you know, one of those little people who had a big personality, and so the priest always called her Mother Superior. I think with that. So we were well known in the parish, and we were both very active. And then we moved to Southern Illinois because we wanted a more temperate temperature. And there was only one little parish down there, St. Patrick's. And it's a wonderful parish, but there's only 200 families. And most of the people did not have the advantage of Catholic education like I did. And so they were really searching for that particular background. So in that parish, I almost say I did everything but say Mass. So I was a lector, I was the EM, I did some CCD, I did several different programs during Lent and Advent. I also, in the diocese, became a minister with them. And so when I came up here, I said, I want a bigger parish where there's more people to share in the different jobs that could be done. And in fact, when I first met Father Harry, it was an interesting conversation. I wasn't too sure about Father Harry at the beginning, but he and
I don't understand.
I know you don't, but he and I have become great friends. But one of the things I shared with him is, having been a former sister, I am now what's called an associate sister of humility, which means I'm still part of the community. Okay. And so the community is now in Davenport, Iowa. And with the virus, we do a lot of Zooming back and forth because I'm on several committees. And so we do a lot of back and forth. So the humilities are a very big part of my life. And then St. Pius, I have begun to become more involved, which I said, I always want to, you know, to be an extraordinary minister is truly an honor and a blessing. I'm not sure if you've not had the opportunity, but how close you are to the Lord when you are able to share communion with others. It's awesome, is what it is. It's truly awesome.
Well, good. Thank you. So you said when you came here, so what brought you to Tucson, and then what kind of led you to St. Pius?
Well, when we came here, I said to my husband, now, before we decide which parish we're going to sign up for, we're going to go and we're going to check out 3 or 4 because there's quite a few here. And,
yes, there are.
You know, I said, I want to get the feel of it. So the first parish we came to was here at St. Pius. Now, how many others did we go to? 0.
0! I told that story. That's my wife, the smart one. Yes, yeah. Anyway, you guys remember.
My husband, who is was baptized a Catholic but never raised a Catholic.
Okay.
Didn't make his first communion until the Saturday before we were married. And the priest who married us said, well, if you can't teach him what it's all about, he can't be taught. And so he made his first communion very quietly. And so he follows my leadership as far as the church goes. He doesn't get as involved as I do.
Okay.
But we came over here and we went to a pancake breakfast. And so I said to him, what is your impression? What do you think? And he said, this is the parish we're coming to. I said, but we haven't. I know. He said, but people said hello.
Yes.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
Well,
people
yes,
it's part of a family.
Welcoming, yes.
And we were on a Sunday that didn't even have when all the new people Now,
Right.
about a month or 6 weeks later, somebody said all the new people, my husband's there, who never, ever says anything. And he was so excited. So,
And how long ago was that?
a year and a half ago.
A year and a half.
We moved in March of last year.
Okay.
So, yes.
Well, welcome to Tucson.
Thank you very
Welcome
much.
to St. Pius. We are blessed to have you.
Well,
And
it's
what
always
do you do with us now?
Well, with you right now, I'm an EM. Well, not really, because I'm an elector, but and I'm with the women's boutique. And then I did the one presentation that it was supposed to be 3 weeks, but we only made 2 weeks because of the virus. Right. And in fact, I had just contacted Father about seeing if we want to do something over Advent or something like that we might want to do, and what we want to do for something like that. I love, sharing our
Spirit.
Yeah, sharing our faith and sharing the blessings. I am truly blessed. I mean, how many people have been able to say they went to Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, Catholic college, and even Christian for my other advanced degrees, and how important that is to the foundation of who we are. I just think that's so important. And so to share, when I was at St. Patrick's, I can remember having a discussion with one of the women, and she had no idea why there were different colored vestments. And it was like, that was something that I took for granted.
Sure.
Because I grew up with it. I mean, we had, let's face it, month of May, who did not have a May altar in their bedroom? We all had it. And how many times did we all, our little girlfriends, and we would have the crowning of the Blessed Mother, and we'd be singing the songs. And it's like, we just take these things for granted. And yet, there are so many people who've not had this advantage.
Yes, that's true. Well, every journey is a little different. Some have more foundation early on. Some find their way later. It's, but all are welcome.
Well, so. It's just like the gospel the other day, where some of the vineyard workers started early in the morning and
yes.
some only did 1 hour's work, but they were all welcome.
They were all welcome.
They were all welcome, and I think that is one of the really important things.
Well, thanks for sharing all that with us, but you're not done yet. So you have a message you want to bring to us tonight.
I do. This is a very difficult time for all of us. And normally I'm a very cheerful person, but the other day I
really?
Just kind of...
I find that difficult to believe.
I just can't imagine what.
I couldn't resist. That might not make it in.
But I was kind of down and over all the things, and it hit me to go and get this book, and it's called Silver Boxes, and I brought my little silver box with me. And this one actually Rich bought for me, my husband, as a reminder that our words have such an impact on other people. And it starts out with Florence is somebody who is a guest speaker in many of the different Christian, and this is one of the themes that she uses. And so the one time she went in and she thought, oh, I'll sit in the back here and just listen and see what what the church feels like. And the pastor saw her and said, Florence, how about you come up and give the sermon? And being a person like I am, she said, oh, okay. And she went walking up. And then as she's walking, he says, oh, would you do a children's sermon? She had never done a children's sermon. So the only thing she could remember is that she taught her kids, was from Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 29. And so she started out with saying, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And of course, all the children looked at her like, huh? What did you say? And so then they began to break it down. And as she broke it down, the kids started to understand our words mean a lot to others, and they can lift us up, so we need to remember to say positive words. And so one of the little ones said, "Oh, that's like getting a gift." Every time somebody said, "That's special." And so she started with the boxes, and then one of the other ones said, "And it's a big bow on top, so it's very special." And I'm just going to give you one quick little story out of it. I'm going over time. And it's, she was in a restaurant with a group of other people, and she saw this woman sitting by herself, and she just was drawn to go over to her, and she did. She went over and she said, "Hi, my name is Florence. How are you doing?" And the woman looked at her and said, "Would you sit down?" And so she sat down, and they started talking. And the woman said to her, "You know, I've been coming to this restaurant and sitting by myself for many years, but you're the first person who has ever stopped to even smile at me, other than people who work here. And it just means so much to me." So those little boxes, those little gifts we give to each other when we say, "Hi," smile, or just "How are things going?" just means so much to us.
Thank you.
That's my,
That's,
as they said,
wow.
a brief but spectacular moment.
I agree. I agree. So indeed, how we treat each other, and which is one of the things that draw us all to St. Pius. We too found, as many, many people do, coming to this place, you feel people welcome you, people smile at you, people say things to you, positive, beautiful things.
Yeah.
And again, you just never know. Like your story with Florence, you never know how a small good morning and a smile might touch someone deeply. You don't know. We don't know. So we encourage you, like Maria, be positive, smile, greet each other, love each other. This is what Christ calls us to do.
And it takes less muscles to smile than it does to frown.
Amen. Well, Maria, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you all for joining us. Again, I'm Dave, and this has been Pius Talk. God bless you all.
Bye, everybody.